Alright, so remember when I said I was going to end off the series on the F-250 with the 347? Well, I'm back in it. Uh, Nothing really major. Just got a few things to take care of, you know. You'll have that on these kinds of things. So right now, what I've got going on is we got a few oil leaks. I'm pretty sure it just needs snugged up there. Then we're going to look into crankcase ventilation because we got a little bit of pressure coming out of the dipstick tube, and we're losing a lot of oil, and that's the main reason I took this thing back apart. So I really don't want to do that again, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to not have to. So we're going with some new valve cover gaskets, which I've already had these sitting in that truck over there for, I don't know, a couple years. Was going to put them on this one anyway, but that was when it had a regular 302 in it. But yeah, they're still 302 gaskets. They'll still work. So we're going to put those on it instead of the old cork gaskets, because you really can't take a valve cover off and put it back on too many times with the cork gasket. They tend to get cut pretty easily, apparently, anyway. So go ahead and get that finished up. Pretty sure that, oh, I got some Marvel Mystery Oil to go ahead and throw in it, and really hope that if there is anything wrong internally, that should bring it around. I've seen that stuff do some pretty cool things. There was a couple of them, someone put some into an engine that had absolutely no compression. The rings were completely shot in it. They dumped it into the cylinders, and that thing fired up. All the cylinders were good after it just soaked for a couple of days. So go ahead and throw that in. I think it'll come around. I don't think there's anything majorly wrong. When I try to start it, it doesn't gallop, so I don't think we've got any damaged rings or anything like that, because we got even compression across the board here. So I'm going to go ahead and get on that and finish her up. Alright, so I got the valve cover sealed up. That was yesterday. Anyway, the next thing I want to move on to is my ventilation. So I do have a PCV in it. Honestly, I don't think that's enough. I added a catch can because I was getting moisture in the oil. No issue with head gaskets or anything like that. It wasn't actual water in the oil pan. It was just moisture. Somehow, for whatever reason, this thing just decided to collect it at a ridiculous rate. If anybody knows how to completely eradicate that, let me know. Yeah, I put the catch can on to try to help with that. It did help getting the moisture out. I had way less in it than before. Wasn't getting any oil in the catch can, just water, just draining out. Then, so on this rendition, I was blowing oil out of the dipstick tube. My theory is, and what I want it to be, because I really don't want any major issues with this thing, is the moisture, you know, when oil mixes with water, and yes, it does mix. That's how you get milkshakes. My theory is that it's hanging on to the water, coming up through the dipstick tube. I mean, of course, it's got a little bit of pressure on it, and throwing itself out the dipstick and hitting firewall. And another thing, I did have a small leak on the valve cover, so I was losing a little bit there too. So I went, I don't know, I probably put 15 miles on it, and I lost about a quart. So that's really bad. I'm going to say this again. I do not think it's rings, mainly because I don't want it to be. But saying that doesn't make it so. So what I'm going to do is, see, from factory, you would have had a line going from your oil cap to the breather. I don't have that. I'm going to add that. And hopefully that'll resolve the issue of trying to burn the truck down. Then another thing I want to add to this is a copper line on the oil pressure gauge, because I have a plastic one on there now. And apparently they like to break. And I can 100% see that if this thing gets wore out, there's nothing holding it together. So we'll replace that too. Hopefully I can get it all done before it gets really dark. So now I'm going to get on that part. And just got done cranking down the oil pan bolts. They were all tight, by the way. And then there's the oil cap. Hook a hose to that. And then hook a hose to the cleaner, air cleaner. And that should pull the pressure out of the engine. See, when the piston goes up, you know, that pulls air. It pulls air into the crankcase. It's going up, and you've got a hollow space under the piston, so it's going to create a vacuum and pull it up. Well, that air's got to go somewhere when the piston comes back down. Now, what I was reading is technically the opposing cylinder is supposed to counteract that pressure, because when one goes up, another one comes down. So that should cancel out the pressure that the other one's creating. Either way, you know, you gain temperature in your engine, you're going to make some kind of pressure in the crankcase no matter what. So with this hooked to the air cleaner, that should put enough draw on it through vacuum to keep it from coming out of the dipstick tube as oil and water. Mostly condensation. Well, it's all condensation. I don't have a head gasket leak. There's nothing wrong there. It's all condensation. And I would really love to get rid of that, because it's pretty heavy in there. Right now it's not so bad, but last year it was really bad. So really hoping this works. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. I think that might have done it. I don't see any kind of mist, foam, smoke, anything coming out of the dipstick tube. I think we've got it now. Hey, watch here. Yeah, I think I might have finally got it figured out. I don't think there's anything coming out of there anymore. Before, this thing would just kind of shoot. I'm going to try something real quick. Take the oil cap off. And put my thumb over it. You can kind of see it coming out. And put that back on there. Nothing. So you might be wondering, well, what's just to stop it from coming up through the oil cap and sucking it into the carburetor? Well, in theory, again, there's a baffle right under that. So that should keep the oil from actually coming up through the thing there and sucking it into the air cleaner. Allegedly. Because when I had it hooked up to just a catch can, I didn't get any oil in that. It was strictly just straight up water. So, if I'm right about this, really hope I am, because this might help somebody, and hopefully that is the case. This should work, is what I'm saying. So since I wasn't getting any oil out of that, we already know that's not rings. Rings aren't the problem because we would have oil in that, I would assume. I don't know a ton about using catch cans and whatnot, but I ran this for several months with just a catch can. In fact, I even made one. And then I got a legitimate one. And never got anything in it except for water. Like, you could drink it. I wouldn't, but you could. So, if ever you get stuck in the desert, put your catch can on. If you already got condensation in your engine and you don't have an excessive ring gap. Yeah, hopefully I'm onto something here. And then if this does work and it'll help somebody out, then the first person to watch it will be about the fourth person to know about it, rather than how it worked. So, oh yeah, check for fuel leak too. No fuel leaks. That's cool. Really like not having a fuel leak. I'd put a new fuel filter on it too. And I really hope that feeds it. Apparently these things are really good for running engines that make 300 horsepower is what the thing says. My opinion, I'm making more than that. Maybe. Honestly, I feel like it's making probably 300 to the wheel. Won't know that for sure until it gets on a dyno, but technically it should be making over 320 flywheel, because the Edelbrock heads come with a kit. It's a top end kit. Honestly, I wish I got that top end kit, but anyway, what that is these heads, an Edelbrock intake and carburetor, cam, I think lifters, and some other stuff that you need for that kind of thing. And that's supposed to make 320, something like that, on a 302. So, right off the bat, we're making 45 just from the bottom end. 45 more than factory. So, well, roughly. If you do the math, then it's, I think it's usually make 1 to 1 point something, or maybe 2 horsepower per cubic inch added. And now that we have a 347, we're around 45-ish horsepower extra than factory, which is 145 factory. So, we should be looking at 190 minimum just for making it a 347. And also, we got a upgraded top end. Now, keep in mind the 190 is with factory heads, factory cam, everything. So, we would take the 45 and add it to the 320, which you would get from the top end kit. We should allegedly be making 365 flywheel minimum. And I also do have, the cam I used is just a little bit more than what the Edelbrock kit comes with. And right now, thinking about it, I really wish I just went with that top end kit, because it would have been so much cheaper than getting one piece at a time. And it costed me many dimes. So, we got 1 horsepower for each day of the year. Allegedly. Honestly, it kind of feels like it. I've been in, I mean, the newer Hemis, the 5.7s, they're at least 300 horsepower. This thing pulls probably better than that, honestly. I've driven them. I'm not just talking this thing up, because honestly, I'm going to probably say this thing may not make that, honestly. It should, but I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, it makes more power than that. That's no. It's I'm not going to talk something up to be what it's not. So we could be looking at 365. We could be looking at 320. Who knows? I mean, just because you have a bigger cam, there may be something else that doesn't work as well with what you got. So that would lower the horsepower. But we are making all the torque. I know that. Anyway, I'm going to run it, see how it does. Go ahead and throw the other things on it that I want to take care of. And it should be done. It should be ready for the next project, finally. This should be the last time you see this truck until it's been through some testing. Unless there's a big problem with it. No, I'll probably let you know. That should be it for now. Thanks for watching. A little bit shorter video. Probably pretty boring. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you want to see this thing more often and see what happens to it. And hopefully I'll see you next time.